Hey guys, it's Robbie again. So today what we're going to do is go over a few tweaks you can make for your classic hip flexor stretch and a few other hip mobility drills. So working at targeting the hip flexors and the groins and the hip joint itself. So I'm going to show you 2 to 3 exercises to work on that. So first we're going to start off with the classic hip flexor stretch in a half kneeling position. Now this is a good stretch for the hip flexors and the quad muscles, but a lot of times people put their low back into extension, so you're not really going to get a good stretch of the hip flexor here. So what you want to do to get the hip flexor and target it a little bit more aggressively and safely is think that through your pelvis there's a bucket of water. You're going to spill that bucket of water backwards, so get a posterior pelvic tilt. You're going to keep that bucket of water spilling backwards, and then as you do that, you're going to do a slight lean forward here, getting a stretch right in this area. Maintain that bucket of water going backwards, and then come back. So it's not a big movement. You don't need to push into too much extension in the lumbar spine there. What you can also do as you get better at this, and if you want a little bit more of an aggressive stretch, you can get this rear foot kind of elevated on a bench here like this. And then do the same thing again. This will get the quad muscle a little bit more. Bucket of water backwards, and then lean forward slightly. So that's the first hip flexor stretch. Alright, so for the next exercise, we're going to show you the classic frog stretch with a few little tweaks for it. So you're going to target the groin muscles, but also get the hip joint working into internal and external rotation. So you're going to get down into that position that you usually get into the frog stretch. Rock your hips back, open them up. Do a stretch in your groin muscles here. Hold that for about 5 seconds, and then you can rock forward, almost into a semi-plank position, keeping your feet flat. Squeeze your glutes to make sure stability in your spine. Push your hips forward a little bit, getting a stretch in the groin. And now here what you can do is to work into internal and external rotation. So for internal, rotate your foot out. For external, rotate your foot in. Just getting a little bit of more range of motion through the hip joint. Same thing on the other side. In, and then out. And then you can rock back here. You can do the same thing back here. It'll be a little bit tougher. You go in for internal rotation, and then out for external rotation, and then you can hold that stretch there as well. So those are a couple little changes you can make for the classic frog stretch. Alright, so for the last exercise, we're going to combine the hip flexors, the groins, and then the outside of your hip girdle as well. So kind of an all-in-one range of motion hip stretching exercise. It's good for any sport. Any day you're doing like lower body exercise like squats, deadlifts, lunges. It's a good thing to do right before you work out. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off, as we talked about before, in that half kneel hip flexor stretch position. Rock forward, hold for about 5 seconds, then come back, move the leg out to about 45 degrees, lean out to the side, getting a little bit more of the groin muscles, hold for 5 seconds, and then you're going to come back, and now this is the tricky part where you're going to swing around into the pigeon pose position. Just place your hands down, drop your leg back, and then lean into the stretch here. Hold that for about 5 seconds. Make sure you're feeling the stretch on the outside of the hip. And then you come back up into the half kneel hip flexor position. 5 seconds there. 5 seconds here again. And then rock back down. Hold that there. So repeat that about 3 to 5 times on each side for 1 to 2 sets as needed.